What's up, guys? CJ Pearson here. Welcome to Family Matters. Now, the studio does look a little bit different today because I'm actually on the road. We're filming out of Los Angeles today in California, where, of course, we just had a terrible election this past week, Proposition 50 passing, which is, of course, probably expected. I wasn't all too surprised, but at the end of the day, it goes to show there's a lot of work to be done here in the state, and we'll see what's happening. There are a lot of fun things that we're working on while we're here, which we're super excited about. Doing some cool things with Jubilee. You guys will see that here soon. But before we get into that, let's get into business. Let's have a come to Jesus meeting because I've got to say, there is nothing more embarrassing than being a white liberal in 2025. And arguably, there's nothing more performative that you could be other than maybe a Broadway actor. And if you don't believe me, well, let me introduce you to Stephanie Miller, a progressive talk radio host who took to X this week with a photo of her literally kissing the feet of resident congressional hood rat Jasmine Crockett. Was she embarrassed? No, not at all, actually. In fact, she had this to say. Why, yes, I did kiss the sneakers of Jasmine for US, and I do worship the ground she walks on. And she was lovely about it. And these are the same people who attend No King's protests, by the way. These people have no shame, no dignity, no self-respect, no real friends who care about them enough to whisper in their ear, get your ass up, off the ground, stand up. Seemingly no. White liberals have made self-hatred a virtue. They walk around apologizing for things they didn't do, feeling guilty about things they never controlled, and worshiping political figures who feed off that guilt like it's oxygen. They don't want to solve problems. They want to feel like they're solving them. They want to cry, kneel, hashtag post, and get patted on the head for being one of the good ones. Meanwhile, real issues like education, crime, jobs, family breakdown get ignored because fixing them doesn't get you likes on Instagram or applause from MSNBC. They built a culture where virtue isn't measured by results, it's measured by how much you hate yourself. That woman kissing Jasmine Crockett's feet didn't end racism. She didn't help a single black kid read better or get out of poverty. What she did was feed the performative activism monster. The same monster that demands that you cry on camera, renounce your ancestors, and signal your virtue louder than your neighbor. And this whole dynamic, it's toxic for everyone. For white liberals, it's humiliation disguised as morality. For black Americans, it's infantilization disguised as empowerment. It's embarrassing, it's cultish, and it's exactly why so many everyday Americans of all races are walking away from this nonsense. We're gonna get into it. Welcome to Family Matters. Well, guys, welcome to Family Matters. So good to see you guys back here. Big show here planned today. As you can see, guys, that picture actually threw me for a doozy. When I first saw it, I thought it was AI. I thought it could not be real. I was like, there is no way in the world that this white woman is on X right now posting a photo, multiple photos, by the way. This is 4 photos that she took and posted on X, where she is crawling on her knees and kissing Jasmine Crockett's feet. Now, guys, I've seen my fair share of white guilt across my life. Guys, like I was in high school and college during the peak of BLM, where every, white liberal was posting those black boxes and acting like they were the reincarnation of Martin Luther King Jr. I've seen it all. I have never seen something like this. This is truly, again, as I said, I thought it was AI. I thought it couldn't be real because sometimes I think I'm a little bit too much of an optimist. I really have too much faith in these people. But I realized that when Michelle Obama said when they go low, we'll go high. They actually meant that these people will go low. Seemingly, they will go so low that they will kneel on the ground and kiss the feet of a black congresswoman because it'll make them feel as if they're an ally. It'll make them feel like they're satisfying the requirements of their woke agenda and their just action in life. And it's just actually so sad. But as I said in that monologue, it's so performative. And to be quite frank, the real way that we should refer to it is just fake and gay, as Candace Owens says, to be quite frank. It's just incredibly fake. And I think that what they don't understand is that black people see this and we think it's a joke. Like, we think it's a joke. It's not satire because they really do mean it. And this is a woman that's actually a very serious person. I looked into her. She is like the host of like this radio show on Sirius XM on their progressive network on the channel. And this is someone that portrays herself as a serious person who talks about serious issues and all of these things and who claims to care about black people. But I guarantee you, she's not talking about any of the issues that I just mentioned. She's not talking about family breakdown. She's not talking about crime in inner cities. And she's probably criticizing Republicans and people like Donald Trump who are actually trying to solve those issues with real solutions. But she thinks that because she's, kissing the feet of a black congresswoman, she's done her duty. She's done her deed. She's been as I said, one of the good ones. And to be quite frank, it's really disgusting to me. It's disgusting to me that Jasmine Crockett, as you can see, was just smiling ear to ear as this happened. That's a little bizarre. But it's actually not surprising because Jasmine Crockett probably does see herself as deserving of that. She probably does see herself probably in that same caliber as Jesus Christ himself. Definitely probably as the queen bee that she portrays herself to be, right? I remember that story from the New York Post just a few months ago where they talked about the requirement that she has that she's to be picked up in a black car and, ushered off to vote. And she has to have a staffer waiting outside the car. And if the staffer's not there, she's going to crash out on them. This is a woman who thinks that she's going to be president of the United States one day, when the only thing she's only going to be president of is probably like, the alum of Real Housewives of Dallas. I think that's really all she has going for her in that sense. But anyways, it's just all still, again, it's performative actually on both sides of this. We want to criticize this woman for being a weirdo, but we also got to criticize, the entire performative nature of Jasmine Crockett. Everything about her is a facade. I talk about her often on this show because she's truly the gift that keeps on giving. We could probably make an entire show about Jasmine Crockett's lack of authenticity and every single hole in her entire upbringing and story and the facade that she puts on like she's some ghetto hood rat when she went to elite schools. She went to a great, high school, a private school. She went to a pretty decent, good law school. And before she decided that she wanted to be some, knockoff, version of Cardi B or, whatever I guess you want to compare her to, sometimes it's given Real Housewives of Atlanta, sometimes it's given Cardi B. I would say Nicki Minaj, but Nicki Minaj has had an epiphany. I don't know if y'all have seen where she's actually been commending President Trump, especially the actions that he's been taking to secure the well-being of Christians all around the world, particularly in Nigeria. And so that's actually kind of made Nicki a Republican, some are saying, which is kind of interesting, which I welcome Nicki Minaj to the grand old party. I think it's so important for us to have these cultural wins. I love to see it happen. And I think that there are just more of that coming. Since our last show, I actually hosted an event in DC. We had a party with Rick Ross, who, for a while, wasn't always the most pro-Trump person in the world. Definitely is a lot more open to him now. There's a pretty cool video of him where he's actually on the same tarmac in South Florida, where his plane is right next to the president's plane, and he's like, this is pretty badass. And I think it goes back to, the fact that a lot of these rappers actually and athletes respect President Trump because of just how unapologetically himself he is, how baller he is, how much of a hard worker he is. You listen to any rap song, right? And it's all about the glorification of success. It's about getting after it, becoming successful, attaining your goals, all of these things. And I think a lot of people see this in Trump. And I think now a lot of that cancel culture that was perpetuated upon our community, that was kind of shoved down the throats of the black community, we've kind of broken those shackles and said, we don't give a damn anymore. And I think that a lot of rappers had been constrained by that, to be quite frank. A lot of them now that have come out and say, wait, I actually like Donald Trump. I like what he's doing. And I think all of this woke propaganda and woke bullshit is completely out of sync with the way that I grew up, the way that I live, and the way that I want my children to live. And so I kind of commend folks like Rick Ross who are coming out now and saying, hey, I'm actually totally okay with performing at a Republican event. I'm totally okay with performing for a bunch of Republicans. And it's good to see, someone like Nicki Minaj have the courage to come out and actually call out her own fans. And we'll throw that on the screen here, where she actually was being criticized by folks in the LGBT community for commending Trump for basically saying, Christians should not be slaughtered in any country in the world for their faith alone. And this is a really big problem in Nigeria, actually. We have thousands of Christians that are being slaughtered in that country because of their faith. And she took issue with that. She is a woman of God. She is someone who is a Christian. And she said that this is inexcusable. And she said, thank you, President Trump, for standing up for these people. And these gays that follow her basically said, how dare you support this from President Trump? How dare you compliment him? How dare you thank him for anything? Because orange man bad, orange man bad. And she clapped back. To her credit, she clapped back and she said, how are you going to sit here and take my comments saying, thank you, Trump, for defending Christians and somehow make it about your sexuality and somehow make it about who you sleep with and what you do in the bedroom? Because no one was talking about that. You made this about you because that's their whole identity. That's the problem with the left. Their entire life, their entire personality is wrapped around their identity. And it doesn't matter if you're gay or if you're black or whatever it may be. It could be that, you're white. They're still obsessed with being white. If you're a white liberal, they're still obsessed with being white, but they're so obsessed with being white that it consumes them in the form of guilt, right? And that's why you see videos like we just saw where this woman is completely debasing herself and is crawling on the ground to kiss the feet of a sitting member of Congress. Now, guys, not only is that bizarre to see, sad to see, depressing to see, embarrassing to see, and many more adjectives that I, have in my repertoire here, but it's also just fundamentally not how our government is supposed to operate. We're the Americans that put these people in office. We are the folks that voted for them. Without us, they would have no power. This is a government for the people, by the people, that exists because of the consent of the governed. That is the entire premise of our country, the entire premise of our founding documents. We're not supposed to be kissing the feet of any politician. Not a single one. And the irony of all of this, truly, of course, is, these are the people, again, who go to No King's protest, who like to pretend as if Donald Trump is just, shredding the Constitution every single day because the man wants to build a damn ballroom, in the White House. Apparently that's Hitler-esque in 2025. But they perpetuate this idea that Donald Trump is some, communist dictator and all of these things. And here they are, literally, again, kissing the feet of their politicians, leaders of their cult, and they want to act like we're the crazy ones, that we're the deranged ones that have lost the plot. These people are actually very unserious and very just delusional in a sense where it's I kind of feel so bad. And I know that we're in this Maha era where we're not supposed to be telling people to go get medicated and take Xanax, but I think these people need Xanax. Or something maybe homeopathic. I don't know. I don't know what RFK would recommend in this case. Maybe there's some type of, vitamin, natural supplement that these people can take that can really help them ease up a little bit, because they certainly do need it. And I think it's becoming very clear and evident to anyone that's actually normal and sees things like this happening, that these people really, really need help. Fundamentally, really, really are in need of help. And what's crazy is that it's not only, Jasmine Crockett who's terrible, but I guess she's the best and brightest that the Dems have to offer these days. So much so that they are actually considering running her for senator in the state of Texas, which would probably be the biggest gift to Republicans in the history of ever. And it's right around Christmas time, so I guess the timing is actually kind of serendipitous here. It would probably be one of those things you got to report to the FEC as an in-kind contribution, because if Jasmine Crockett is the Democrat nominee for U.S. Senate in the state of Texas, I think that might be the most biggest victory we ever have in a red state in the history of ever. I think it might literally put up North Korea numbers. It would be a 70-30 victory, and I think that you would then start having Democrats saying stop the steal, which is actually funny because on that note, we also have Jasmine Crockett this week coming out and saying that she wants to get rid of Dominion voting machines. Interesting stuff there, right? Because I remember when Republicans were saying stuff like that, we were conspiracy theorists and we had lost the plot and we were just cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but now Democrats can say whatever they want to say and we have to pretend as if we forgot and that we don't have memory and that we are all dementia patients. And no one's going to hold them accountable. CNN's not, MSNBC, of course, is not going to police their own. And so, but when we point them out, they're like, well, you're just engaging in whataboutism. whataboutism. No, I'm just actually pointing out the hypocrisy and the double standard that exists because of these absolutely crazy and delusional and deranged people. But it's not just Jasmine Crockett, of course, as I said, who is delusional and deranged. She also has Ilhan Omar, who is also pretty delusional as well, who actually was in a recent interview talking about the prospect of her being deported and why she doesn't actually really care. Let's roll that clip.
I mean, I have no worry. I don't know how they take away my citizenship and like deport me, but I don't even know like why that's such a scary threat. Like, I'm not the 8-year-old who escaped war anymore. I'm grown. My kids are grown. Like, I can go live wherever I want.
She can go live wherever she wants. She absolutely can. And I feel like she wants to live in Somalia, so why not just go back? Like, that's my entire thing about Ilhan Omar. Every single day, I feel as if she's showing us that she cares a lot more about Somalia than she ever has about America. And if that's the case, then go stand on that. Go stand on business. Go back to the land that you care so much about, because you obviously don't care about America. Every single day you display a disdain for this country. Every single day you show a lack of concern for the issues that actually matter in this country. You're currently, an accomplice to the longest government shutdown in American history. You have led to, and today is Veterans Day when we're recording this, so I think this is important to note, that these people are tweeting Happy Veterans Day today, all while they are standing in the way of the brave men and women who wear our country's uniform of actually getting paid. But you think Ilhan Omar is giving up her paycheck as a member of Congress? No, she's not. She's taking that to the bank every single pay period. But our men and women in uniform, she doesn't give a damn about them. But that won't stop her from tweeting Happy Veterans Day or her colleagues from doing the same, all while, again, they continue to block the reopening of the federal government. Like, that's who these people are, the most inauthentic people under the sun. And what's so interesting to me is that they're so unashamed about their hypocrisy. They're so unashamed about how awful this all makes them look that they just kind of, I don't know, like they are really good at gaslighting themselves and believing that the American people actually stand with them when it comes to this stuff. And what they're also good at somehow, some way, is gaslighting the American people into believing that they're doing this for them, or gaslighting the people that have typically become, a loyal part of their constituency into believing that this is all for them. For example, the EBT epidemic that we're seeing right now. I keep going on TikTok, and every single day I see these videos of people trying to blame Republicans for their lack of EBT benefits. Number one, I'm tired of all this EBT nonsense. I want to hear more JOB. We talked about this in the last episode. I want more JOBs. We need more JOBs, okay? Because that's what's missing, apparently, in this country. Because when I'm going and seeing all these videos of people saying, I can't believe that they expect me to pay for my own meals and all of these things. And a lot of these people don't look like they've skipped a meal at all, any day. And so I'm just like, here's the deal. I don't think there is any situation where a child in America, one of the greatest countries in the world, one of the richest countries in the world, should go hungry in this country. No, especially not when we're sending millions of dollars overseas to every other country to feed their children. There's no reason our children should ever go hungry. But I do have a very real problem and real issue with people who have become kind of married to the government. Like, it didn't work out with their baby daddy, and now they're trying to make Uncle Sam their baby daddy. I don't like that. I don't like that. So because you were popping your punani irresponsibly and you ended up having, 3 kids with Jadarius, 2 with Quintez, and 1 with, we'll call him Javon, you think that it is now the responsibility of the American taxpayer to subsidize your bad decision-making. No. No. That's not the case. It simply isn't the case. And I understand that, sometimes things don't work out well, right? But it's kind of like that old George Bush line. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. But fool me 3 times, can't get fooled again. But you got fooled again. Baby daddy number 3, not really like, this I know when that occurred to you that maybe, let's have some restraint. Let's use some protection. I don't know, but doesn't stop them from going online and complaining about the fact that they're not getting these EBT benefits. And I really, again, when you've become so dependent upon the government, it probably is a very debilitating thing for a lot of these people. And I do feel bad for them. I have empathy to a certain extent, but their anger is misguided. They're blaming Donald Trump for the fact that Democrats won't reopen the government so that they can go get their EBT benefits, so they can go get their red dye 40 Cheetos and all those things and their jumbo crab legs with the Old Bay on the side. That's not on Donald Trump. That's on Chuck Schumer and all the Democrats who, until just a few days ago, actually 24 hours ago at the time of this recording, refused to reopen the government. Just flat out refused, because they were wanting to extract political concessions from the Republicans, like free healthcare for illegal aliens. Really. Like, that's what this was really about. Like, these people, like, they're like, oh, we're fighting for everyday Americans. No. This was not about Americans. This was not about us. This was about them wanting to continue their big welfare scam, and not even in a way that benefits the American people. That's a big thing that should make everyone angry, right? Like, these people aren't even trying to benefit Americans. Like, they are literally doing this to continue to create a new generation of dependency outside of the black community. Now they realize that black people are waking up. They realize that, black men are trending to the right, young black people are trending to the right, and they're really worried and scared about that. Now, a reasonable and rational reaction to that would be, well, let's come up with policies that actually excite black people again. Let's actually try to, solve some of the problems that are on their minds and, that are, affecting their community in a detrimental or aggressive way. But they're like, no, that's actually too much work. That actually makes us respect black people too much in their intelligence. So we're not going to do that. No, we're not going to come up with policy solutions to end crime or the fatherlessness epidemic in the black community. No, that's too much work. That requires too much effort, too much discussion, too much actual hard work and intellectual conversation. We'd rather just make them mad at white people and get them mad about random group chats that no one really even cares about. Of course, they tried to, roll that out, of course, right before the Virginia election and make black people crash out emotionally over something that has no bearing over any of our lives. I don't think my life was negatively impacted in any way by that group chat that I read from those random Republican leaders, as the media anointed them. I think the only people that they are leaders in the eyes of was probably the people that wrote that article. Ain't nobody following them anywhere. And so that's the entire thing. They never actually want to do anything for black people. They just rage bait them into hating the Republicans over this EBT issue, whether it's over some random ass group chat, whatever it is. They would rather make black people angry than actually make the black community whole again. And so as a result of that, that's why they're going out of their way to accommodate illegal aliens. It's exactly why they're doing that, because they realize it's easier just to give free shit to illegals than to actually solve the problems that they created as a result of their policies, as a result of the Great Society that came with LBJ and all the things that came after that. They would rather just buy a new group of colored people than actually undo the harm that they caused in the one that they have forsaken. And again, the reason I'm so passionate about this and the reason I get so angry about this is because I look at the election results from last Tuesday, and I see, unfortunately, while we've made progress in terms of, black folks waking up and coming, to their ancestral home, which is the Republican Party, the party of Frederick Douglass, the party of Abraham Lincoln, we do still see a significant portion, a super majority of black people continuing to vote for Democrats. We saw it in Virginia with 90+% of them voting for Abigail Spanberger. And what's interesting about that, too, is you have Barack Obama, who is self-righteous as ever, wants to go out and bash Winsome Sears, but in 2024, in the run-up to the November election, was lecturing black men and saying, how dare you not vote for your black sister? How dare you not vote for Winsome Sears, Barack? Is there not hypocrisy there? Like, identity politics was the most important thing in that election then. Like, it was like, ignore Kamala's policies, ignore her lack of authenticity, ignore the fact that she's Caribbean one day, Hispanic the next, ignore all of that. Ignore all of her character flaws. Ignore the fact that she was joking about smoking blunts on the Breakfast Club with Charlemagne the God while locking people up for doing the same when she was the district attorney of San Francisco. Let's just ignore all of that. Because she's black. She's our sister. So we got to support her. We got to vote for her. But the same doesn't apply to a black Republican. Not one they can't control, right? That's the thing. It's always, vote for the black people that we can control But don't vote for the black ones that we can, because they're the enemy. They're worse. They're worse than the Republicans because they're supposed to believe what we tell them to believe. They're supposed to, just mindlessly be Democrat. They're supposed to mindlessly follow whatever we say. And so he goes and he, stumps for Abigail Spanberger in the state. He stumps for Jay Jones as well, someone who wished for the political assassination of not just his, political opponents, but also their children. And now he's the chief law enforcement officer of the state of Virginia. The irony of that is absolutely insane. It's crazy, and it makes me sick to my stomach. But that's who these people are. And I always say it, like when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. I've always known this about the left. They've always behaved this way. They've always acted this way. These are the same people that on Halloween dressed up as a maimed Charlie Kirk. Like, these are who these people are. Like, let's not kid ourselves anymore. Let's stop like gaslighting ourselves and believing that like these people want to coexist or they want to make amends, because every single day they show that they don't, which is, again, take the hint. It's like sometimes I feel like, especially establishment Republicans and those that are right of center, as they say, it's like they always want to see the best in these people, and they just kind of become like those like high school girls who really need to realize that guy is not good for you and you should probably leave him. And they keep going back. They keep going, I know he loves me. He loves me. He loves me. He loves me. No, he doesn't. And these people don't love us. And they show it every single day. They show it in no uncertain terms when we have to believe them. We have to believe them. But going back to my point, they go back and they're doing all of this, these free shit for the illegals because they realize that black people are waking up. And I think that should make us even more angry. And I think that it is making black people angry. We covered it in I think 2 weeks ago, some of the town hall, speeches that have been given by residents of Chicago who are saying, why are all these illegals getting these government benefits? Why are they getting all of these taxpayer dollars? Like, what's up? What's the deal with that? I think it's a correct question to be asking, but notice how uncomfortable it makes all of those city councilmen or aldermen in the case of Chicago. They don't want to answer that question because they know there's no good answer to that question. Because why the hell are American taxpayer dollars being used to subsidize the invasion of our country by people who do not belong here, right? Why is that happening? But it's not just that issue that I think that is waking up black people, thankfully. It's not just the illegal alien issue that's waking up black people. It's also actually the trans issue in a very real way. There's actually an interesting woman who I've come across just recently, and this is actually a really incredible video that's been going absolutely incredibly viral. I think I have her name here. Her name is Tish Hyman, and she's absolutely been blowing up online. And the story behind her is that she was at a gym in California. She lives in California, and she was actually banned from this gym because she did not want to be in the same locker room as a biological male who had been accused of violence against women, had been arrested for it, has a very, very shady history. And she actually confronted, in a very actually polite way, as much as you can be about an issue like this, a guy named Scott Wiener, who is actually running to succeed Nancy Pelosi in Congress. Of course, Nancy Pelosi this past week announced that she will no longer be running for re-election and she will be retiring. And she basically just pulled up on him. This guy, Scott Wiener, by the way, is terrible. He is the wokest of the woke. Every radical pro-LGBT thing, not even just like gay marriage. I mean, like the most radical stuff affecting children, minors, all of this stuff. He's in favor of it. He supports, children transitioning. He supports, I think there was also like a proposal that he put forth where like it wouldn't be criminalized if you knowingly spread certain STDs. Like this guy is absolutely deranged and not well, but of course probably makes him pretty popular in San Francisco, as you can imagine. But you guys got to hear her in her own words. It's an incredible sight to see. Let's play that clip.
Senator Wiener, as the only black lesbian here, can I please ask you a question because I flew here to do that? Yeah. Okay. As a lesbian woman who was attacked in the women's locker room at Gold's Gym this week by a self-identifying trans woman with a documented history of domestic violence, I'm deeply concerned about women's safety in female-only spaces. What would you say to women who are seeking assurance that their safety will be protected from men who, by California law, can self-ID as women in women-only spaces, sir? Please tell me.
Yeah, so we want, everyone to be safe, And we also know that, we have trans people, both men and women, who are men and women. And so, so if you're trans women are women.
Here he goes, right? Oh, trans women are women, blah, blah, blah. She's about to clock him on this real quick. It's incredible to see. It's one of my favorite parts of the video.
You've done great things with the bills you've passed with the housing. I've read a lot of your bills, and like you said, there are bills that need to be opened up, and I'm telling you now, millions of women across America are being harassed and sexually assaulted in locker rooms. I'm a lesbian black woman. I'm not transphobic. I'm not homophobic. And I do respect a lot of the things you've done. But I do see a lot of these bills that you've passed that are dangerous for women and young children. And I understand that you're trying to be on a level playing field. And I'm here to represent my community because I hear a lot of things about my community in these bills. And I'm telling you as a woman, first and foremost, that this is dangerous and we need your help because you're in the office, you're going to go in the publicity spot. I want to support you. I have millions of people behind me watching this right now, and we want to know, are you going to protect women? Not trans women, women. Trans women are different things. Women. Listen, we need to protect women's safety. I was assaulted. Women are women. I was assaulted. No, they are not. They are men.
Infuriating. This makes my blood boil, right? You have, and this is, I hope this is like a wake-up call for my black friends on the left or anyone really. This is how white liberals treat black people who say something that they don't believe that we should be allowed to say. Notice that she's speaking her truth from the perspective of a lesbian, by the way, like a member of the LGBT community. She's saying, as a woman, a real woman, a biological woman, I do not feel safe in this environment. And you have all these white liberals around who start booing her, shouting her down and saying, oh, you don't get to believe these things. You gotta check in with massa. You gotta check in with your liberal white massa so that you can get the permission to have these thoughts, the permission to vocalize your pain, what you went through. Obviously, she's emotional. You hear it in her voice in this, but they don't care because they believe that her black thoughts ought to be regulated by what they believe. If that's not racism, I don't know what is. We'll finish this video here.
I was assaulted by men. He broke his wife's jaw so bad she needed reconstructive surgery. I'm a lesbian. I'm not transphobic and I'm black. So if there's another black woman in here who wants to tell me how they feel, please join in. But all of you are not. And I don't know who you are, what you are, but I'm a lesbian, and I'm telling you right now, men are harassing women in the locker room.
So I think that what she did here was actually really brilliant, because she kind of like put them in this like little bit of like political quagmire, right? You know that they're literally having an internal meltdown because they're like, oh my God, she just threw out all of the things. She's lesbian, she's black, she's a woman. What do we do? How do we police her? How do we control her? They don't know what to say. Notice that as soon as she stood up and pushed back against them, they all went mute and silent when she started saying those things because they were like, well, oh my God, I don't want to look anti-black. I don't want to look anti-lesbian. I don't want to look anti-this, anti-that. They were so scared. They're probably pissing their pants. And I think that sometimes we've got to use that against them. We've got to throw their delusion in their face and say, okay, these are the rules that y'all want to live by, so let's live by them. You say that if a black woman's talking, how dare you challenge what she has to say? Well, that black woman's talking. So how dare you challenge her about what she has to say? If she says that she doesn't want to be in a locker room with a person with a penis who has a history of domestic violence, who broke a woman's jaw so bad that she had to go through reconstructive surgery to get it fixed, then who are you to discredit her truth? Who are you to say that she doesn't matter? Who are you to say that we should just ignore her anger, her passion? Because I thought that's not the rules that they want to live by, right? I thought we were supposed to listen to black women when they speak. We're not just listen to them when they speak. We're supposed to prioritize what they say, to the point where we ignore other people, right? As Kamala Harris famously said on the debate stage with Mike Pence, Mr. Vice President, I'm talking. She was talking. So how dare they interrupt her? And, you'll see at the end of this clip, we don't have to play it, but it's just Scott Wiener, the guy who's running, I think he's a state senator now or something of the sort, just absolutely starts kind of using her language. He's like, yeah, we need to protect women and we need to figure out, what this line is, which is interesting seeing that even in the wokest area of California, you still have someone like that who is acknowledging the fact that this is not a winning issue for them anymore. And it's not just, white Republicans or, just die-in-the-wool MAGA people who are upset and angry about the war on women that they are perpetuating in this country. The way in which they are trying to rob women of their complete identity in the name of wokeness or in the pursuit of the woke agenda. It is now a lot of black people who are saying, this is not right. This isn't surprising coming from the black community. You got to think like the black community is very evangelical, very Christian, very traditional. Like, even her from the perspective of a lesbian, she's like, why the hell would I be in a locker room with someone that has a penis? Like, that's not a crazy thing to think about. That's not a crazy thing to believe. A few years ago, it just would have been common sense. Like, why would someone want to put themselves in that position? But of course, it's crazy in the eyes of the left because they are just absolutely mindless and completely off the reservation and have lost the plot completely and entirely. But I love seeing this. I hope we see more of it. I hope we see more of her. She is obviously just such a firecracker and, absolutely is just speaking truth to power in a way that I hope spreads like wildfire because we need more of that. And I'll always say, it's like, everyone's journey to conservatism will be different. As she said, like she agrees with a lot of what that state senator guy said, who I said is like one of the most progressive politicians in America. But if it's this issue that makes her question where the left stands on every other one, if that's how you do conservatism, everyone's journey is different here. Everyone's journey is different back home. And that's totally fine with me. And hers will be hers. And I think we're going to be welcoming her into the grand old party, into the MAGA movement pretty soon based on what I saw. Because there's no way home. Like once you realize that these people actually don't care about your safety, your well-being, they don't actually believe that being a woman is even a thing anymore, because if they actually believed that it was a real thing, they wouldn't treat it as some costume that you could get at like Spirit Halloween. But that's what they do. That's the current state of the modern Democratic Party. That's the current state of the left. And I think once you realize that they don't view you or your identity as having any meaning, then you don't really want to reconcile with those people anymore. You don't want anything to do with them. And it's not surprising why you don't. It's actually just, as I said, common sense. But guys, that is all for us this week. I want to thank you all for joining us. It's so good to see you guys every single week. We'll be back at home next week in the regular studio, but we'll have a jam-packed show next week, of course, again. In the meantime, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe on all platforms, wherever you get them, whether it's YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Go tell your friends about Family Matters, and we'll be here next week. God bless y'all.